Oh boy, Chuck Loaf here. 1200 Films Podcast. All horror all the time. Fantasy baseball season is over, and now I have so much more time to resource to watching random horror films. So I can pop out more episodes as I gear up for the big 2021 year in review, which I can't believe is almost upon us. And I can tell you the best film of the year isn't going to take much to be best film of the year, because so far this year hasn't been much. The 2021 releases have been subpar. The major releases, the minor releases, everything in between has been pretty sad. So hopefully the number one movie I've got going into December will be like number 6 by the time December is over. But an announcement on the next episode. I will have a special episode gearing up for Halloween, which I should have out just in time for Halloween. It will be an all werewolf episode. I've never done that before. I will be reviewing several random werewolf movies I've never seen before, and I bet you most of them you've never heard of. And I'll be ranking my top 10 werewolf movies of all time. So that should be interesting. So let's get going on this batch. A pretty good batch. At the bottom we got Dumpster Fire Garbage, and then Can't Quite Recommend, and then Okay If Desperate, and then Put It On the Watch List, and then Put It On Top of the Watch List. Ready, get, set, go. 2021 Vicious Fun. Kitty, where are you, Maui? Okay, where was I? Kitty's having a little emergency over here. Gonna be good? Gonna behave? 2021 Vicious Fun. According to Rotten Tomatoes, a critic rating of 87% and audience score of 67. So this guy, a young guy, stumbles upon this support group for serial killers and has to pretend that he is also a serial killer. It takes him about 30 seconds to realize this guy's not a killer. So then he's on the run for his life from a big group of scary serial killers. And that's the premise of the Vicious Fun here. And one of the killers he finds out is associated with the girl he likes, of course. It did co-star Robert Malay, who is a pro wrestler named Kurgan back in the 90s. Kurgan has been getting around. He was in Becky last year, so he's been making the rounds. This was an excellent film. It was a lot of fun. Vicious Fun was fun. So, Kitty, for the love, shush. Give me 15 minutes. I just fed her. I don't know her deal. So, Vicious Fun, yes. Excellent movie. Put it on the watch list. Check it out. 2021. Jacob's Wife, a critic rating 86%, audience score of 60. Also had another pro wrestler in it, CM Punk. Played Deputy Colton. He was a bit forgettable, as this film was a bit forgettable. This wife of a pastor who was very vanilla, and the marriage is very tired, and the wife ends up with having a thing with the high grand wizard of vampires, and she becomes a vampire, and humdrum, predictable, nothing I haven't seen. I guess it was, a nice effort. It was kind of well made, well produced, but nothing special. Can't quite recommend this one. Next one, 1968, The Witchfinder General, or as it was released in the U.S., The Conqueror Worm. What? Critic rating 88%, audience score of 66. Why do all these movies have critic ratings in the 80s and audience scores in the 60s? I don't know. This was 1968. It starred Vincent Price, who was a bastard in this film. He would, this was set a few hundred years ago, at least. And he would go to town and accuse people of being witches. And then he would get paid by the mayor, whether they were witches or not. And then he would get paid by the mayor as they killed the witches and go on to the next town and do the same thing. And thus got the name of the Witchfinder General. Yes, he was. Yes, what a dirty, dark thing. So people were getting murdered just so he could have a little payday. And the interesting thing, I looked up the director. I usually don't talk about directors, but this one was interesting. Michael Reeves directed this, and he directed this at 24 and died at 25 right after this movie's release. Apparently, he had some depression issues and took a little too much medication and died of an accidental overdose. 25. Wow, I can't believe they let someone so young do a movie this big, but they did. But it was interesting. It was fascinating. I couldn't look away. So I would put this on the watch list. The Witchfinder General. Next one, another oldie, 1975, Messiah of Evil. This kind of has the label of cult classic. There's no critic rating, but an audience score of 55. Apparently not enough of the cult likes this movie, but it's not horrible. This woman goes to this northeast town, coastal town, to go find her dad, who she hasn't seen in years and years, and he's just not there. She goes to his apartment, and he's pretty much vanished, as has most everyone in the town. It's a little eerie, and she finds this guy who's a well-to-do rich man with a poofy Donald Trump type haircut. And he's escorted by two prostitutes. One is a very high-end prostitute, and the other is probably a $2 prostitute. 1975, that was probably, a lot of money. But she strikes up her friendship with these people, and unbeknownst to her, they just kind of move in. While she's away, they just happen to show up there and kind of make themselves at home. So they're there. She's there with these people, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with this town. And it turns out it's all vampire zombies. They start to go out at night to figure out what's going on, and they start getting chased around. And that's the premise of Messiah of Evil. It is a little old, and it is a little weird, as most older movies are. And it does have issues of sustainability, but it's not bad. Okay if desperate. Probably wouldn't watch it again. Next, 2021, we got a documentary here. Creature from Big Money, an Illinois Bigfoot legend. There's nothing on Rotten Tomatoes, but IMDb has it as a 5.9 out of 10. That's pretty high for IMDb for anything horror related. But before Momo, the Missouri Monster, in the late 70s, there was Big Muddy in the early 70s from Murfreesboro, Illinois. And it basically mostly just interviews with witnesses and recreations. It's fine. It's well made. It was done on a budget of $2,500, which is pretty impressive. But if you're big into Bigfoot like I am, put it on the watch list. If not, it's probably not for you. But it was fine. It was interesting. Next one. 2016, The Night Watchman. I don't know how I've never heard of this one. Critic rating 86. Audience score 68. Another one with 80s and 60s. The director Mitchell Altieri, who also directed The Hamiltons, which is a fascinating vampire movie about a three, 4 siblings living together, and they're all vampires, and they're trying to live normal lives. And it's not a comedy, it's a drama, but, you know. Anyway, this movie, so this younger guy gets a job, as a night watchman at this factory, I guess, is what it is. And, the other night watchmen have all been there 1,000 years, so he's kind of going through a hazing process. Well, there's a zombie outbreak, and they gotta watch out for the zombies. And there's somehow this clown zombie is leading them, and oh boy, it's a muddled mess, but it's fun, and you can't look away. And the silly night watchmen really step up their game, and it becomes an okay film. I would say put another one to put on the watch list. Check it out. I can't remember where I found it or how I found it, but I found it, and it's worth watching. Next one, 2021, The Boy Behind the Door. Critic rating 97. Audience score 74. A lot of places already have this as the number 1 film of the year. I thought it was fine. It's not really a horror. It's more of a thriller suspense. But I guess there's a little bit of blood, so I guess maybe, I don't know. So these 2 boys get abducted, and they really only want the one. Oh, it's so bad. They kidnap a white boy and a black boy. They only want the white boy, so they take the white boy and tie him up in the basement. They leave the black boy to die in the trunk of the car. But the black boy sneaks out and decides that he's going to help his friend get out of that basement. So he has to fight off the kidnappers. So it's a cat and mouse type movie. It's not really a horror movie. A lot of sneaking around and hiding. But I can see why a lot of people would like this, because it's for a thriller. It's good, but I'm sad to say this, but I've seen Lifetime movies that are just as thrilling. Just saying. But I'll still give it an okay if desperate. But it's just not really a horror. And so that's that. And time for the feature review from 2020, The Stranger.
I am Claire, your orbit driver.
I am Carly, your passenger.
Are you famous?
Why would you think that?
You live in a mansion.
Actually, I have no idea who lives there.
What do you mean?
45 minutes ago, I rang the bell. When the woman that lives there opened the door, I shot her in the face. You are sitting next to a sociopath. So here's the deal. If you tell me a really good story, then I will let you live.
2020, The Stranger, a critic rating of 80%, audience score of 69. This technically is not a film. It is technically a TV series. It was put out by the Roku channel, and it was made to be several 10-minute episodes, but you can watch them back to back to back to back, just like a film. As a film, it would have worked just fine, but they released it this way for whatever reason. But, goddammit, it's still excellent. It stars Maika Maurice, who was in It Follows and The Guest, 2 excellent films I highly recommend. And it also stars Dane DeHaan, who is excellent in the bizarre film A Cure for Wellness. And this is another Uber driver movie where the Uber driver picks up someone creepy. And and he threatens to kill the driver, and that starts the chase and the bloodiness and the death counts and yada yada yada. Good suspense. Nothing was really bad about this, except a lot of people died that I didn't know were gonna die. But that's fine. That's kind of like TV series 24. They must have killed off every main character in that show. But back to the stranger. It's late. Yes. Should have been a film. It would have worked fine as a film. It wasn't a film. But still, it's free on the Roku channel. You might have to watch a couple commercials. It's worth it. There's going to be a lot more of these Uber driver killer movies. I just know it. I remember seeing one 4 years ago called Ride Share that was a good low-budget horror film about this. And there's been a handful more. Who's the kid? Who's the kid from the Netflix series? He did one, and there was another one before that. If I could think of it, I would say, but I can't. But there's going to be a lot more of these, so it's kind of like those escape room movies. I think those have died down, but I know there's a new one coming out. Escape Room Tournament of Champions. But yes, this will probably be the measuring stick for all Uber killer movies. Uber driver killer, yep. So definitely put this on top of the watch list. Check it out. The next episode will be the werewolf episode. So I won't discuss the next series of films I'll be covering. I'll cover that in the werewolf at the end of the werewolf. I'm a mess. I should start this over, but I won't. I'm lazy. So look forward to the werewolf episode coming up in a couple weeks, and that'll be it for me.